3 hours, $1,000, a church craft fair. That's what happened when my student, Kyle Young, set up a booth with products featuring her bold, hand-inked designs. She had just discovered surface pattern design, and she sold over $1,000 worth of products in 3 hours. Then nearly another 1,000 in follow-up orders afterwards. I think that deserves a bit of a celebration with some super fun emoji. Now, Kyle had run her own graphic design agency for over 30 years, but this was brand new territory for her. And it worked really fast. Today, I'm walking you through 7 real ways that creative women are turning their simple doodles into income. And every single example that I'm sharing is a real woman from my creative community. If you've been wondering whether this is actually possible for you, stay with me. Welcome to the Creative Business Spark podcast. I'm LaFollette, creative entrepreneur, online educator, and business coach. After getting laid off in my late 50s, I found myself adrift with no income and no sense of self. But my mom always said, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep moving forward. So I decided to reinvent myself and build an online creative business from scratch. Now I help women like you do the same. This podcast is where art, mindset, and entrepreneurship meet. I'll share behind-the-scenes lessons, inspiring stories, mindset shifts, and more. Let this be the spark you need to build or grow a creative business with joy and purpose. Let's dive in because it's never too late to create. Before we dive into the 7 ways, I want to set the stage for just a second. Surface pattern design is artwork that's created so that it can be applied to products. Think about wallpaper, wrapping paper, fabric, upholstery, stationery, phone cases, quilting, cotton, you name it. The industry is huge, but it's still kind of a very great kept secret. Or when you think of a product that has a design on it, you don't immediately think, oh, that's a surface pattern design. No, you just think that that's a very pretty design that might repeat, or maybe it doesn't repeat, but it makes whatever it's on more beautiful. Here's what I'd like you to do. Look around yourself right now and tell me if you can see 5 or 6 things that have a repeating pattern on them. It might be the rug underneath your feet. It could be the duvet cover on your bed. It could be the design on the cover of the journal that you use every day. It could be the illustration on your phone case. Once you hear the term, and more importantly, once you understand what it means, you start noticing patterns and designs everywhere you look. And here's the exciting thing. It's a growing industry, and you do not need an art degree. You don't need years of training. You need to be able to draw something simple. It might be a flower, a leaf, a wonky little teacup, and you need to learn a few very specific steps to turn that drawing into a seamlessly repeating pattern inside Adobe Illustrator. That's the tool that I use. That's how it all starts. So now let's talk about the 7 paths to income. And I want you to listen for the 1 or maybe the 2 or 3 that make your heart beat a little faster. The first way is what I like to call indirect selling. This is where you upload your design to print-on-demand sites like Spoonflower, Zazzle, Redbubble. There are actually many, many more. And you upload your design and you create your own virtual shop. You select which products that particular print-on-demand company offers, and you put your designs on them. And then you need to market your shop. And when someone buys one of your designs on one of those products, you earn a commission. And here is the beauty. You never have to own inventory. You aren't responsible for shipping. You don't have to deal with any returns. The company handles all of that for you. You create the art. And then, very importantly, and this is something people frequently don't emphasize enough, you have to market your shop because people aren't just going to find it. You need to make sure that they know all about it, and you're talking about it frequently when you have new designs available, or maybe when there's a sale. My student, Shannon Copley, is a perfect example for this category. She was initially intimidated by Adobe Illustrator, and many of us are. I certainly was when I opened it for the first time in my 60s, but we can all do hard things. You can learn how to master Adobe Illustrator, and Shannon now sells beautiful designs on a variety of products. She's willing to put her designs on Spoonflower, which is primarily a fabric and wallpaper print-on-demand company. She also enters their bi-weekly design challenges so that she gets feedback and insight on what's working and where she can continue to improve. Here's what I want you to know about this particular path. Your doodles do not need to look like they came from a design agency. The hand-drawn, imperfect quality that shows that it was actually made by a human is what buyers want right now. They do not want AI-generated art, and frequently these companies will not allow you to upload anything that was AI-generated. People don't want something that's generic or mass-produced. They want something with heart, something with personality, something that has a story behind it. And so that is what your individual and unique artwork brings to the table. The second way is licensing. This is where you give a company permission to use your designs on their products, and you are essentially renting it for a period of time, and they pay you a royalty based on sales. You retain ownership of your art. They handle production, distribution, and all of the rest of it. Licensing may sound fancy, and it sounds like something that maybe only big name artists do. But I want to tell you about my student, Debbie McLaughlin, because her story proves otherwise. Debbie retired from a career as a software project manager at the age of 60. She joined her local art league, hoping to take some classes, and then she discovered surface pattern design and my Doodles Coaching Week, and fell in love with the process of creating hand-drawn artwork, bringing it into Adobe Illustrator, and creating gorgeous repeating patterns. She has now licensed her designs to the Textile district. And let me say that again. This is a woman who spent her career managing software projects. She retired. She learned about surface pattern design and mastered Adobe Illustrator, and she is now a licensed designer. One of the things that I always tell my students about licensing is that the market is much bigger than most people realize. It takes time to get your first license, but retailers are constantly changing their inventory. They're always hungry for fresh original art, and your life experience, your eye for color and pattern that's been developing for decades, that's actually a competitive advantage. And what's great about licensing is you can license the same group of designs to different companies who have a different niche. So one collection could get licensed to a fabric company that's going to be selling in the United States. That same collection could be for fabric selling in Europe. That same collection could be licensed to an American company that does wrapping paper in the US. You get the idea. There is a lot of ways for you to expand and leverage one set of designs in a variety of different ways, which makes licensing compound over time. Now, the third way is direct selling. This is selling from your website, selling from an Etsy shop, selling through a local art supply store, or selling directly at seasonal craft fairs. I talked about this a lot during the holiday season because that's when craft fairs are available everywhere. And if you love interacting with customers, if you have that outgoing, extroverted personality, this might be your sweet spot. Let me tell you about Vicky Rudolph. She's a multi-passionate creative, and she's had to reinvent herself every time she had to move for her husband's job. She jokes that she's all over the place, but she's actually quite intentional and focused. She's currently creating a line of sportswear with her designs on them. She's already sold pieces through her Etsy shop and also directly to friends and family. She's incredibly focused right now on growing her audience so that she has more potential buyers. And remember Kyle, who I talked about in the first category? She's another great example of not putting all your eggs in one basket. She combines direct selling with indirect selling. She sells at craft fairs and she sells through print on demand. And that's the beauty of this industry. You can mix and match. The fourth way is teaching. You may have an existing skill right now that you could actually turn into either a course or a membership. And it doesn't have to have anything to do with repeating patterns. Maybe you're a watercolor artist, like my student, Maria Alzanier. She came into my world because she did beautiful watercolor work and wanted to know how to create repeating patterns using watercolor, which is a bit special. It requires some additional Adobe Illustrator skills or Photoshop skills. So she came into my world and she then created a whole new line of linen dresses from her watercolor designs that she created repeating patterns from using Adobe Illustrator. She's expanded her entire business by teaching watercolor through an online course called Color Flow and also through a monthly membership where you do a new watercolor project every month. So it's a great way for you to leverage something you already do creatively and turn that into a course or a membership, but also learn surface pattern design so there are ways for you to also sell your work on more products. You don't need to build a massive online empire to teach. You can start with a small workshop at your local library, a craft night at your kitchen table, or a simple tutorial that shares one technique that you've mastered. The point is this: the skills that you already have can become something that you share. And then in addition to that, you can weave in your new surface pattern design skills where it's appropriate. The fifth way is subscriptions, and subscriptions could also be thought of as memberships. And this one is super creative. What if you created a monthly subscription service for your art? Or maybe it is a subscription box that contains favorite things that you've created every month, and people sign up for your box and then you ship it out to them once a month. It could be a curated set of greeting cards that are seasonally appropriate, and maybe you do that on a quarterly basis or you do that every single month. And there's so many opportunities here. And I have two students to talk about. One of them is Marianne LeClaire, who's up in Canada, and she created a favorite things box. It had a curated set of specialty items with her designs on them and got shipped out every month to subscribers. She also added on specialty boxes for special occasions like Christmas or Mother's Day or Easter. And then Natasha Zahn, who's an incredibly talented artist who lives on Kodiak Island up in Alaska, she actually does gorgeous watercolor work that she finishes with black ink. And she created a greeting card subscription. And when you sign up for her greeting card subscription, you actually get a list of all of the different people in your life you could send cards to, but you can also regift those cards if you want to. And getting something beautiful and personal delivered to your mailbox feels so special. I hope you're kind of getting the theme here that you don't need to put all of your eggs in one basket. You can pick and choose from these options so that you have multiple income streams. And in the greeting card category in particular, or maybe wrapping paper, isn't it great to get a hand-drawn card or to get a present that is wrapped in very special wrapping paper that has your friend's design on it? So much of what we do now is online, and this is a great way for you to actually use your hands, create something really beautiful. You create the repeat inside the computer, but then you have a real product in your hands that you can showcase, you can market, and you can sell in a variety of different ways. And you're back in the analog real world. The sixth way is either opening your own retail store or leveraging someone else's retail store. So this may not sound feasible for many of you who are listening today because the startup costs for your own retail store could be really significant. But there are a variety of different business models today where a retailer who owns a series of stores is looking for new artists to showcase their work inside their store. You may have heard of these. You may have one in your local area. And so what's great about that is that your goods are for sale inside that store, and you're sharing a portion of your sales with the retail store owner. Maria actually lives in Sweden, and there's a barn across the street from her house that she also owns. It used to be her grandparents' general store. So she runs it as a retail store, and that's obviously fantastic because it's on her property. And she sells pillows with oversized florals on them. She has a whole tea towel line that has her beautiful watercolors on them. She also has specialty trays. She has this growing line of linen dresses that I mentioned, and she has a lot of paper goods as well, art prints, greeting cards. The space is big enough for shopping events, and upstairs there's a space for her to have her in-person paint parties. I love these stories because they show how one path might lead to the next. There's no single right way to do this, but I hope that what you're getting from this episode is that these should spark new ideas in your own mind or spark 1, 2, or 3 of them that absolutely speak to you that you want to move forward with. The 7th way, and this one really surprises people, is commissions or one-off projects. This means custom work created for a very specific client. And I have several of my students. Pauline Riley comes to mind. Natalie Rodman-Coate comes to mind. They have done special projects, whether it's creating a baby blanket for a niece or nephew, or it's creating products with dog designs on them. The pet industry is massive. Natalie loves dogs, and she started out by creating repeating patterns with images of her own puppies on them. And some of her friends saw those and said, "Can't you make one of those for me with my dog on it?" Friends and family will start to reach out and ask for something that they want that's totally unique. And what a serendipitous blend of your artistic talents and surface design. Creating something unique that's just made for one person is obviously a specialty category, but it's incredibly meaningful and has fantastic word of mouth. So there you have it. Those are the 7 very different paths, and every single one of them starts with a simple doodle. Not a masterpiece, just one small imperfect drawing that gets turned into a seamless repeating pattern. Every one of these women started in the same place that you might be in right now, wondering if it's possible, wondering if it's too late, and it's not. I promise. If this episode lit a spark in you, even a tiny one, I want you to pay attention to that feeling. Don't let it pass. Don't file it under some day. I have something coming up in a few weeks that is designed for exactly where you are right now. It's my Doodles Coaching Week. You might have heard about it before. Over the course of 8 days, step by step by step, I guide you through how to take a doodle and turn it into a repeating pattern using Adobe Illustrator. And by the end of it, you'll have created your very first seamlessly repeating pattern. You'll know exactly how you created it, so you can then create many, many more. And early bird pricing is available right now. It's only $10 to join. I'll put the link in the show notes or go to members.artwithann.com/doodles. I'd love for you to join us. Because 7 ways to earn income from your doodles means nothing if you never take the first step. And that first step, it's just one simple drawing. And you can do this. Go grab your seat at the early bird price of just $10 by going to the show notes or go to members.artwithann.com/doodles. Thanks for being here today. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button, which helps get my content in front of more people. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast player, please leave me a review. I would greatly appreciate it. And forward this episode to a friend. I always like to close by saying that I am Anne LaFollette. And remember, it's never too late to create. That's it for today, and I'll see you again next week.